Hi there, and welcome to Draw With Me. And thanks for coming up today, Thursday. We are in a different location than normal.
We're in the cool pines
We
of
are
Pine Top, Arizona.
Yes, JJ is here with me. We are taking a few days to escape from
The claustrophobia
the
of
claustrophobic.
being inside of a small house for
It's true. We were
10 days.
both of us were infested with COVID for a while. We're much better now. It was
We're 100%. We're back.
We're 100%. We are. We're back. We are, you know, we're wiser for it. We're wiser for
We're
it.
never going to an indoor concert again.
As you
Remember the
yeah,
last Draw With Me when
exactly.
we bragged about going to an indoor concert?
As you may remember last
Did
time,
you all snicker?
we
Did
were
you
all
snicker?
saying like, hey, we went out to all these places. It was really great. And we went to concerts, and we went to restaurants, and we went to parties. And then we went to bed, and we stayed
We didn't
there
go
for
to any parties. We didn't. No.
It was all a party.
Yeah.
Life is a party for us,
Well.
24/7. So anyway, we got through it. It's fine. And we're here. Now, why, you may ask, is there a Guinness World Records thing there?
Who could only know?
Because I think that we are eligible to win the award for the most drawings of Luca Pacioli ever done.
And thankfully, everyone else drew the cool hoodie.
Everybody did do the full-on, like the full Luca Pacioli thing, except for me. So therefore, you're better than me.
You are.
But I think that we should. If I don't know if anybody knows anybody at Guinness that could get us. I don't know if anybody drinks an enormous amount of Guinness and maybe has some kind of leverage as a result. But I think we should be winning. Because, I mean, they give out world record things for all kinds of ridiculous things.
Yeah,
You
but
can
I
win-
think it's a whole application process.
Okay,
I
well,
think we'd be better off just like moving on and drawing something else.
all right.
But I do think the pre-rolls just continue to get better
A man
and better.
can dream. A man can dream. Yes, it's true. I mean, if you're new to Draw With Me, maybe you are, you're probably thinking like, oh, that's really cool that all these people do that. But this has taken years of arm twisting and dragging people by the scruff of the neck to share their work. And now you see why I've been so adamant about it, because it's super cool to see hundreds of Luca Paciolis showing up on the screen. And today is going to be about coffee and a little bit of tea. It's going to be about coffee and a little bit of tea.
Because we basically drink tea.
Yeah, so it's both things, and that's what we're going to be doing. So if you're not a coffee drinker and you're not a tea drinker, it's heated beverage. It's beverages.
Morning beverage.
It's
Morning beverage.
morning beverages. Yeah. If you don't hydrate at all in the morning, then I'm worried about you. And so if you wanted to just draw a glass of water or whatever, you think of it. You think about what you want to do, but we're going to focus on coffee and a bit of tea. Now, you may remember that last September we did a magnificent episode in which I explained the correct way to make cappuccino. This is not going to be a recreation of that historic event, but it's going to be fun.
Remember the microwave.
So here we are. We're here in an undisclosed location, and
Yeah, we're in Pine Top, Arizona. In the White Mountains of Arizona.
would you like to give the GPS coordinates for
Yeah,
where we are?
sure. I wouldn't mind if some people wanted to come by.
Anyway, we're here, and as so often happens when you go on a trip, particularly if you're distracted, you scramble and you're like, oh no. Halfway down the road, you suddenly remember, oh, I didn't pack a hoodie. Oh, I didn't pack 3/4 of the things that I need. So,
I thought you were going to say you get to the place where you're going and the Wi-Fi doesn't work.
okay, so we arrived here last night. We're staying with, our friends have been very nice to invite us here. And the Wi-Fi didn't work. And then this morning, irony of ironies, the coffee machine didn't work. So here we are, tribute to coffee without a coffee machine. But nonetheless, we've persevered, we've been creative, we've figured out things to do so that it's all going to be great. And we don't have the usual cameras, lights, we don't have all the hair and makeup people.
I'm back to being a disembodied voice off camera.
We've moved JJ as a distraction off camera. And so this is not going to be necessarily the primo highest quality production, but it's nonetheless going to be an extraordinarily entertaining and educational event.
Are you going to talk about the Cappuccino Book?
I am. So here's the motivation or the inspiration for doing this today, which is the Cappuccino Book from Hahnemühle, which is not made of cappuccino. Cappuccino. I'm using the German pronunciation, cappuccino. Or is that the...
I don't know what
I think that's
pronunciation that is, but I know you shouldn't use it.
That's the Roman pronunciation. Cappuccino. The cappuccino is a toned paper sketchbook. And it comes in a couple different sizes. The larger size is the one that we're going to be giving away. Hahnemühle is giving us how many?
3
cappuccino books to give away.
And they are super cool.
And it's not made of cappuccino, so I'm sorry, Juniper. It's not, but... Because that would be actually kind of cool, because you could rip a page out of the book, stick it into a cup with some hot water, add a little bit of coffee and some steamed milk, and you'd have a cappuccino.
That's basically the way you made... It sounded like you made a cappuccino the last time we did this session.
True.
Stick it in the microwave. Bingo.
All right, let's not recreate that event. So anyway, write to info@sketchbookschool.com and tell us that you would like this book.
Okay, I have an announcement.
Hold on, there's an amendment to this.
I did go to the post office box yesterday.
Yes, you did.
People have started sending quite charming entries
and tasty
to win.
And tasty.
Well, no,
we got one thing.
You solicited for snacks, but just people writing to say they would like to win a sketchbook.
It's definitely a
plus. They
plus.
have a competitive edge.
Right. So
they have a competitive edge.
So now we have to start giving out the PO box.
I'm happy to give out the PO box.
Okay, we'll put the PO box in the comments and we'll add it to the thing below. If you would prefer to do an analog experience, if you want to send us a cup of...
I mean, I always say the mission is you've got to delight me somehow.
You know, JJ
and I will
is
tell
tough.
you,
I've been trying for years.
It is delightful to get. I got a few different notes that were.
Yes, you got some nice
Stationery Week, or Stationery National.
It's true.
Anyway, there were cool, brilliant-looking papers.
It was a
party. It was a party in the PO box.
We got a lot of nice stuff, and the PO box makes us happy. So anyway, and we got one cake, only one.
But it was very good.
But she's not going to win
anyway. It was
anyway,
a very, very
won.
good cake.
Now, are we thinking about changing those rules?
No, we're not thinking about it.
We were lobbying, some of us on the team were lobbying for allowing winners to reapply.
Look, Hahnemühle really wants as many people as possible to get these samples. But if you've won
Hahnemühle wants the whole world using cappuccino sketchbooks, as do we. So anyway, if you've won or not, you can write in.
But U.S. only. That's not going to change.
It's true, and it doesn't say that here, and I apologize for that. It should have said U.S. only for now. For now, U.S. only because we're sponsored by Hahnemühle USA. But Hahnemühle USA has territorial ambitions, and they may...
Why are you saying this?
They may one day become Hahnemühle North America, Hahnemühle...
Just stop. Move on.
The entire continent.
We're going to have
But for now, it's only United
Canadians
States.
sending me emails saying, please.
We love Canadians.
We love Canadians.
One day we will do something for you.
We're sorry about the exchange rate, and we're very, very sorry.
There is a Canadian opportunity on the horizon that we will be announcing.
We're trying.
Soon.
We are working on it. But don't make promises that we may not be able to honor.
So we apologize.
But we think of the Canadians.
And it's not because we don't like you.
We love you.
I quite like you.
Oh my goodness. Danny, move on.
All right,
You're digging yourself
all right, we're moving on. So it's...
Let's draw. Let's draw.
Let's get on with it.
Let's draw.
So we're going to start with just... Oh, so here's another... What's going on here?
The pencil sharpener problem?
No, here it is. It was the camera problem. Okay, so I'm going to be using... I'm going to start using a mechanical pencil.
You've gone mad for pencils lately.
So this
the
is...
strangest
this
thing,
is
2022.
This is the Rolls Royce of mechanical pencils. It's not sponsored. I was just given it, and I just love this thing. The Graph Gear 1000. Even the name.
Is it Zebra?
No, it's Pentel.
Is it Pentel Arts?
No, it's just Pentel.
Interesting.
So it's got this, I mean, this is nice. But that doesn't matter. You could use any old thing.
There's no eraser. Point that out.
Actually.
All right, well, you're not going to use the eraser.
There's an eraser, but no, I don't use it. Although it does look suspiciously like it's been used. It hasn't. Okay, so we're working today without reference. We're just kind of making stuff up. So let's start with drawing some coffee beans. So I'm going to just cover this page with little things, and I'm going to use this toned paper. Unfortunately, I don't have extraordinarily good light here, but hopefully you will see.
It's good enough.
It's good enough. So I'm just going to draw some random beans. Just draw a few beans. Well, you know what? How about this?
Hey now! Oh, wow, we had a production assistant just turn on an overhead light. Thank you,
okay.
Amy.
Thank you, Amy. So here, coffee beans are just basically little ovals with sort of jiggly bits in the middle.
Jiggly bits in the middle?
That's not what I meant. They don't. I wish they had jiggly bits in the middle, but they don't.
Stop talking about my belly like
sorry,
that.
They just have just a little kind of zipper down there. So yeah, so there's beans, and then there might be decaf beans. Decaf beans tend to look a little bit different.
I wouldn't say that.
Sometimes they're shinier.
Okay.
I don't know.
I
so yes, so we're sort of half caffers. JJ's actually not allowed to drink coffee because she's insane. Do you want to explain why you can't drink coffee?
I mean, I've drank coffee and it went right down the hatch. But you did an intervention one day and said I was scaring people.
Yeah, caffeine, it's just too much energy. It's like an electric car that you're filling the gas tank with. It's just unnecessary. So okay. So there we go. We just got some beans.
A lot of people love it on pencil.
People like pencil. Here, if you like that pencil, I'm just gonna add a little bit of colored pencil too. So yeah, we've got the whole thing going. And then if you wanted
where is this page going to go? You want to give people some insights about the...
I'm just thinking of lots of different coffee-related stuff. I love the look of this paper, this toned paper, with different kinds of notation stuff. To me, it's really a nice, like a notebooky kind of feeling. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, because it's basically drawing paper. This is not the kind of paper that you would use wet media on. So I just like to use, I just like to use it for sort of something that feels like a notebook, like an explorer's notebook or a scientific notebook. That's my thought. So yeah, so I'm gonna have some beans, and then what else? I think let's explore some different ways in which one might different coffee making. Yeah.
Oh, is it pour over?
Yeah, pour over is the term that people now use for this thing.
Chemex?
Yeah, Chemex is more. And I remember this from like when I was a kid, like in the 70s. This was very much the thing in those days, right? So it's sort of an hourglass kind of thing with this sort of interesting 2 bits of wood that are protect it from burning your hands, and then it has like couple of little balls with a rawhide thing. It's a very 70s Swedish, looking thing, and yeah. So maybe we could fill it with a little bit of coffee. Put in some coffee, maybe some dark coffee, and we got that kind of thing going on. And then maybe a little bit of wood color. This is a wood colored pencil. It's a technical term. If you find that difficult, challenging.
That area is usually cork.
Cork, I guess it is, not wood, right?
It's cork. I mean, if it was wood, that would.
No, it's the balls that are wood, but it's the thing that's cork. You're right, absolutely right. And that's the problem with not having reference, and not even having a coffee maker anywhere near you.
Well, and not having consumed quite enough coffee to be firing on all cylinders.
That's true. That's true. We did get a little coffee from a place nearby, but there. So that's sort of a Chemex thing. What other kinds of ways do you make coffee? How about a French press.
That's how we do it.
Yeah. Well, we sometimes do, we do have one of these pour over things. You're more of a fan of the French press.
Right? I am a purist.
Oh, really? So it's basically a glass cylinder, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then it has, it's like a beaker, really. And then it has this sort of metal apparatus that grips it.
Twiggy.
Is that Twiggy whining over there?
I don't know. I think she's.
And then it has little feet.
People are like playing.
There's little feet. Little feet like that. And it's glass, so it's see-through. But we could put a little coffee in there. Maybe that's a lighter brew.
Twiggy, stop. Stop.
And then, of course, it has this the stomper thing that goes.
The stomper. The plunge.
The plunger that goes through. And I'm doing this from memory, and I'm not doing it terribly well. But yeah, it's sort of like that. And this is, put a bit of highlights in there because it's chrome. And then this thing is sort of black. If I'm wrong about any of this, keep it to yourself. All right, so that's another thing. And then the thing that people tend to be using these days more than anything is these Keurig.
That was the thing that let us down this morning.
Yeah, so we've never really had one of these Keurig things, but it's sort of like these little pods made of plastic, and then they have like a
environmentally
foil.
Not too friendly.
And then
they seem to be in every rental.
Let's not be cast aspersions.
I'm not.
These are very popular. A lot of people like them.
Well.
And that's fine. Whatever you want to do. But we sat and listened to this sort of arthritic,
wheezing,
tuberculous. It was wheezing and
then it wheezed for like 10 minutes and then spit out literally 3 drops of water. It was 3 droplets.
It clearly had like prostate issues. A lot of things were going on with it, and none of it resulted in coffee.
No coffee.
So that's yet another form of this. Yes. So. Are you looking at these comments? Because apparently
I've had to pick Twiglet up because
there's some comments that I'm not responding to.
Okay, I'll look at the comments.
Okay, so good. So then, what else do we have? Now, another thing that we have at home, which we don't have here, is a grinder. I would say we exclusively make coffee from beans. Yeah.
We don't mess with that pre-ground stuff.
We've tried it. It's fine. Honestly, here's the irony of this whole conversation. I'm perfectly fine with any kind of coffee. I don't really care. I'm perfectly fine with going to a diner and drinking like coffee that was made like 11 hours ago. It's all fine with me. But because I'm a quasi-hipster and it is 2022, we have to go through all the machinations of, having all these things that one has. So yeah, and so we have a little coffee grinder and we grind the coffee.
A manual grinder. That might be a step too far, Steve.
No. Then there's all the things with burrs, and I just recently was reading a thing in the New York Times where they were recommending this coffee grinder, and it turned out that it costs like $300. I said, really? It's $300 on a coffee grinder. That's kind of crazy. But the one that we have is fine, and it has. Do you know what brand it is?
I think it's
some German. It's Braun or something like that. Yeah, it's fine. So anyway, there's that. And then recently we also got a milk steamer.
It's a frother.
Frother, yeah.
And it's electric.
I'm trying to remember what it
I
looks like.
think your sister gave it to you, right?
My sister gave it to me, and it's basically.
It looks kind of like the French press.
It's it's like another thing, and then it has a heater in the bottom because it's electric.
It has like a little coil.
And it has a coil that rotates and spins stuff around like that. And then, And it froths up your milk pretty well. I can't remember. Is it clear?
I can't remember. Yeah, it is.
It's clear.
It has a dark base. French press.
It has a dark base. So yeah. So that's another piece, sort of a part of the whole nonsense of making elaborate coffee. I'm still fine with just throwing it into the microwave, or failing that, just drinking it cold, whatever. But, so there's that. What else do we have in this thing?
I mean,
Valvino, are you asking about this kind of pencil? We'll have to clarify. Okay, so what next do we have? Then I wanted to just give a testament to takeout coffee, which is probably the best that there is. Although, I don't know if anybody else saw this. There was an article in the New York Times today about some study that they've done that says that life expectancy of coffee drinkers in this particular study was increased 30%. That people who drank coffee had 30% higher life expectancy during the study. It's a bit unclear to me, because, like, what does that mean exactly?
I don't know. I feel like tomorrow we'll see a study about coffee gives you heart disease. I mean, can one ever trust such propaganda?
I've heard that skepticism and cynicism decrease your longevity. A recent study said.
I'm going to die bitter and old. Don't even...
Like my coffee.
That's just charming.
Anyway, so there's this. I mean, I'm fine with this kind of coffee, but they were saying in there that the real issue is sugar. That people go and they go and buy like some frappuccino nonsense, and it's like 25 grams of sugar, and that's really the issue. It's not the coffee. The coffee is good, and they don't know why it increases. They say it increases your antioxidants. It's all good.
I buy it.
Turkish coffee, Creatrix brings up. Yes, in fact, my sister gave me this whole. When she gave me the steamer, she gave me this whole coffee kind of thing. I forgot about that. Which is like it's copper. It's copper. It's beautiful, and it has like a handle. It has a handle, and you put it in, and
But it's hammered with like a little.
Yeah, it's like
little.
I spent a lot of time making it, and it turned out that it was like what you end up getting was kind of like Turkish coffee, which is basically like eating like a couple tablespoons of mud and some reasonably overly strong coffee. It got me really wired. I felt like sort of sick afterwards. So I don't know. I like the protocol.
You like the dairy,
I like some half and half.
Yeah, I was thinking you basically drink coffee in order to have half and half.
It's true. Speaking
of iced coffee.
Yes, and then recently I've become lazier and lazier, particularly with summer coming on, and I'll just drink cold brew, a can of cold brew from Costco. It's kind of
cold brew.
If you're a coffee aficionado, this is cold brew.
This is
but
the equivalent of the cow you drew the last time.
So yes, I think that a coffee snob would not, but it is cold brew. It's not just iced coffee, whatever that means. So yeah, it's something. There's that. What else? Maybe for the sake of interest, I should draw, just because it's fun to draw, a carton of milk. Do you like drawing cartons of milk?
I mean, wouldn't you call it half and half?
I might, in my case, because I like a bit of half and half.
Should we talk about the Ricky Gervais special?
No. We're not going to talk about that.
No. There are a lot of parts of the Ricky Gervais special that are not suitable for work or YouTube, but he does talk about if you're just a little chubby, as I would say we both are.
Speak for yourself.
Means you're like living life well, like you're eating and drinking all this stuff, and I think we.
He said, "Yeah, I'm fat. I know I'm fat because I eat and drink a lot." It's like, okay, that makes sense. So we have a little. So this part of the carton is really interesting to figure out because it's sort of a soft focus, soft shadow in there, and then you have the bend. I like that. And then I'm going to draw like a little seal with maybe a cow's head in it. A little cow in there. Do a bit of lettering.
Oh my gosh, my stomach is rumbling just even thinking about foodies.
All right, so let's have a look. I mean, this is not a
Are you going
bad
to do
little-
lettering?
Yeah, so this is not a bad little page of like coffee ephemera, effluvia.
I think you need a
Stuff.
mug.
Oh, of course, yes. I do need a mug. That's absolutely true. So there's this sort of this kind of classic coffee mug, which is kind of taller and thinner, right? And then there's this sort of more straight-sided coffee mug. And always remember, the bottom of your coffee mug is an arc that's very similar to the arc at the top of your coffee mug. So don't give it a flat bottom. One of the things I was really looking forward to with doing this particular subject was I was looking forward to this very particular thing, which is to use the brown of the cappuccino paper as the surface of the coffee. I don't know, that was the thing that literally I was lying awake at night a couple nights ago thinking about how much I would like this very thing. Which now that I'm doing it is pretty fun, but it's not kind of the sort of thing you wake up in the middle of. This arc?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's well on camera. It's barely.
Yeah, you can barely see it.
Exactly, because it's too small. It's like a demi-tasse.
Yeah, let me see if I can zoom in on it anymore.
I don't think that's really the solution.
See what I'm saying? See how the paper color is the coffee. Come on now.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. That was what I dreamt about. Do you ever have that where you like wake up in the middle of the night or you dream about a certain drawing thing and then you go and do it? And it may or may not be as good. I do. Alright, so there's a page of stuff. Yes, some people see it. So there's a page. And then, you know, normally I would do this with a dip pen, but I don't have a dip pen. And also, this cappuccino paper isn't really for that. But we could do, we could just write some stuff. Plastic. What are these things called?
What are you pointing to?
The
Keurig
thing, plastic. It's called a pellet? No,
I think it's called a K-cup.
Capsule.
Capsule.
I mean, just the fact that it's called a plastic capsule doesn't sound inviting, right?
I mean, I think I read that the guy who invented the whole get-up regrets doing so. But a lot of people like them.
Grinder.
Paying for the convenience.
Frother. And what else?
Oh, people commented what the Turkish thing was. I'm going to have to look back in the comments. People knew what to call that
boar
thing.
milk. What do you call that? Like not
Oh my
not like
goodness.
1% milk or that kind of thing.
Okay, the copper thing is CEZVE.
C.
CEZVE.
It
Or
is.
another thing with more consonants than vowels. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. DJELLEBA.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I wrote down one of those versions just because it's kind of an interesting Scrabble word.
Yeah, you could definitely win Scrabble with that.
French press, and what is this other thing called? A Chemex. Also not a great word for food. Chemex? Not great. Alright, so those are some varieties. And I think we have time to...
Did you get the steamer?
Yes, the frother.
Oh,
Yeah, got that.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking we have time to do some tea. What do you think?
I'm into tea.
Let's
You
work
know
on
I prefer tea.
Let's work on tea. So
People know that your son's middle name
they're
is...
about to.
Yeah.
So my son's middle name, his first name is Jack. His last name is appropriately Gregory, and his middle name is T. T-E-A. So he's the only Jack T. Gregory there is. The only one. There might be some that have the initial T, but nobody has the actual word. So, all right. So now tea, unlike coffee, I'm extremely fussy about tea. Right? There's definitely lots of rules about tea making because tea you just don't mess around with. Like tea is just much more important in a lot of ways. To me, at least.
Well, I mean, you're British.
Yeah, it might be that. I mean, I think a bad cup of tea is just and here's the thing, America, I love you. You just don't understand tea. I don't know if it's like a political thing that goes back to the Boston Tea Party. Americans think that tea is medicine.
What? You mean
It's
like herbal
all
tea?
it's all medicinal. Like I take it because I need to relax. I take it to help me sleep. I take it for my digestion,
Like
to
a
build my
tincture?
immune system. It's like it's a cup of tea, man.
A cuppa.
It's a cuppa. So, and that's the problem. Is like because of that, and I know I'm sure I can imagine the comments are already going to start
No,
flaring up.
people are voting for PG Tips, which is the only tea we have in our house.
Yeah, so PG Tips. I mean, there are others, but PG Tips has been. And another thing about tea is, it is good to switch your brand, alternate brands.
We don't do that.
I know, but we should be.
No way.
Yes, it's true. So you get so tea is a plant, obviously, and the tea leaves, like green tea, white tea, all those kinds of teas are just teas at different stages of when they're picked. I'm personally a black tea. I like it's black tea or nothing. The green tea, it's just again part of this medicinal thing. It just has no flavor, but black tea is where it's at, man. And there's a thing called rooibos that isn't actually tea, but I like it. It's South African. Rooibos is Afrikaans for red bush. And if you like a nice cup of black tea, but you don't want caffeine, don't buy decaf tea. It's a nightmare. Buy rooibos. Rooibos is delicious. It's a slightly different taste, but it's the same kind of impact. No caffeine. It's not because it's decaffeinated. It's because it just has no caffeine, and you can drink that stuff night and day. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful discovery. I really like it.
I'm not a fan.
Here's the thing about, I don't know if you know the history of tea. Do you know the history of tea? Like how did people start drinking tea? Do you know?
No.
I think I do. At least I know the apocryphal story. And that is that the Chinese liked to drink hot water. Have you ever had a cup of hot water?
For sure.
Right? It tastes better than just like a regular cup.
I love hot
right?
water.
Hot water is
warms
nice.
you from the inside out.
Hot water is nice. And so the story is that the emperor was enjoying a cup of hot water, and he was sitting under a bush. It happened to be a tea bush. And some tea leaves, supposedly, drifted into his cup. And then he said, "Ooh, that's a nice cup of tea."
This is garbage.
This is a true story. So this is, at least that's the historical record says that this is the case. Now, I'm a little skeptical just because if you've ever looked at a tea bush, it's not actually a bush. It's like little plants that are growing on the ground. Like you couldn't sit underneath a bush. There isn't a bush. There's no bush involved. It's bushless.
Maybe a breeze.
But that's the story. Maybe some leaves kind of blew off one of these plants that were growing there for no good reason. Like why were they growing there exactly? You don't know. But yeah.
People are loving on the rooibos. Oh, Carol Boss is here. Carol Boss.
Welcome, Carol.
Carol is the giver of the goods.
Carol is our friend from Hahnemühle. So, all right, so here we have, this is the Chinese emperor representing. Okay, so here's the standard sort of black tea experience in America. It is the Lipton tea bag.
I mean, we drink tons of Lipton iced tea.
Okay, but this is just the regular Lipton tea bag. You've probably gotten it. It's in that kind of envelope thing. And then there's a little staple to the tag, and it has a string. And then you open it, right?
And you're happy.
And you pull out a tea bag. It's a pretty good tea bag. It's not a great tea bag, but it's fine.
It's the best for iced tea.
It's fine.
Although we now buy the gallon size sachets.
We do.
Sachets?
Sachet.
Yeah, because we make
But we buy tea.
tea in Phoenix.
We buy
by
PG
the
Tips by the
juggalo.
giant box
Yeah.
of like 100 and something tea bags, and we go through it on a regular basis. So there's that, and then Barry's. Yeah, Barry's is pretty good. It's Irish tea. I think that's not bad. We've got some other people throwing in some other things, but then Thistle says jasmine green is my favorite. Jasmine green, that's not tea. I don't know what it is.
I mean, green tea is tea, as you, whatever. It's not your preference.
It's not a thing. I don't know. It's like what Sanka freeze-dried crystals in a jar from the 80s would be compared to what some hipster's version of a pour-over would be.
You know what? I'm into green tea. I'm down for jasmine green tea. The only tea-related thing that is an absolute atrocity, boba.
Oh.
What the? I
Yeah, she doesn't like
it's
boba.
like a nightmare. I don't even like to drink orange.
But so here I'm going to do this cappuccino
tea with boba.
The cappuccino paper
kidding?
thing I was again fantasizing about. I'm doing it again here with this this cup with a bit of Lipton tea bag sticking in it. But again, I'm going to do that business with just letting the paper be that little hint of color. I'm excited by that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Okay, so what else? But now let's talk about loose tea.
I just remembered another tea we like, that Thai food.
Thai food's not bad.
Yeah, we like that.
So then let's draw a tea strainer.
A tea ball?
Well,
Like
no, I'm talking about a tea strainer. So when you make a pot of tea and you use loose tea and then you put it in a pot and then when you serve it, you need a tea strainer so you don't have a cup full of leaves. So that's a tea strainer. Sort of a metal mesh thing. And then there are those tea balls, which are, they're okay. And they have like a little hook and a chain. It's a sort of medieval looking thing.
It's like a mace.
Exactly.
It's like a mace for Twiggy.
These things are, I don't know. My main experience with them is that they're really a pain to
They always
unscrew.
leak. They always leak. They're cheap.
Right, you
They're
get
cheap and nasty.
or you're like trying to unscrew it, or you're trying to screw it together, and tea leaves are going over it. It's just a lot of trouble. Although recently I did find those things where you can make your own tea bag. So it's like a little kind of sock.
Yeah,
and you put
well,
the
you used
tea
to do
things
that
in-
with your rooibos.
Yeah, yeah.
Back in the original
before I found
rooibos.
rooibos tea bags,
Yeah.
I would have to make my own rooibos tea bags, which was a bit of a pain. But yeah, I would do that. Okay, what else?
Teapot with cozy.
Yes, so teapot. Yes, I have a teapot.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle.
We don't really have a good
Here is
teapot
my
anymore.
spout. Yeah, we do. It's just in the cupboard.
Teapot is very nice, and honestly, it's the best kind of tea. It does take. You have to be careful though, because it will get very strong pretty quickly, right?
You can always just add a bit of hot water.
This is my new. Is this one? The Aquarelle. I have a new pencil that I've been quite fond of. Is it the Prismacolor? I like this Aquarelle. Very nice and white. There we go. And you know, there's a thing that I'm quite fond of, which is called Cornish ware.
What?
Cornish ware. So Cornish ware is they still make it, and it's a type of English crockery that has stripes, traditionally blue and white stripes.
Oh, yeah, now I remember. So,
Yeah, so this is actually not the right blue.
but it seems more like a coffee cup than a tea cup.
No.
What? I mean,
It's a
teacup,
mug,
you've
but
got
you
the
can-
cup
no.
and saucer.
No, you can get that. You can get all kinds. You can get teapots. You can get all kinds of things.
But they were sold out.
They didn't have the one that I wanted when I recently went to go and buy some, but they're also not they're not thin like you like them. You like a very thin cup.
I like them thin cup because I have tennis elbow. Can't lift a heavy cup.
That's true. So there, that's Cornish ware. Cornish ware, yeah. And then so then also let's make a nice little.
What about a cozy?
That's what I'm making now. Is a tea
Those are
cozy.
the cutest things ever.
Tea cozy. So tea cozy is sort of like a little overcoat for your teapot.
It's like crocheted, right?
It can be. I have had quilted ones, and so you just have your your spout and your handle sticking out, and then you have. I'm going to make this one sort of be a little quilted, but then it could have flowers on it. Let's say.
What about for the Queen's? What is it? Diamond Jubilee?
Yeah.
Put like a little corgi on it. Oh, Twiggy.
Oh, a little pug. Is that what you prefer, Puggy?
Puggy was offended when I talked about them corgis.
There you go. So that's like a little thingamabob. And I guess we should draw a classic teacup.
Yeah. I mean,
Like a
considering
nice
how
open.
many times you've drawn this particular teacup.
Well, I'm going to draw a different kind of teacup, which is the very, very wide open teacup. That's sort of more the classic. Which I find the tea gets cold pretty quickly. But this will be another opportunity to use the cappuccino paper for my favorite effect. And then maybe throw in a little bit of tone.
You don't have any other colored pencil. You really didn't bring too many art supplies.
I did. I
with
have
that-
some other
that-
color pencils. I'm trying to keep it kind of monochromatic. So yeah, and I think that's pretty good. I think that's a pretty good exploration. So we've got
You didn't make iced tea.
Oh, that's true. And we didn't make sun tea, so we
Well,
should
that's what I
probably
was
make
talking
those.
about.
So let's make a sun tea jar.
So once during COVID, from Costco.com, I got an enormous jar of pickles. Like enormous. Like a couple of gallons worth of pickles. Anyway, this is the jar we use to make sun tea.
It's how come you're able to pick that up?
Will. Actually, I cradle it in both arms. I don't use just...
That's true.
Yeah. This precious cargo. Our daily liquid gold.
It has this sort of somewhat disgusting tea bag. I used to have a real phobia. I have one of my few aversions was a wet tea bag, and this thing, a giant wet tea bag, really repulsive. But
Wet paper towel.
wet paper towels is another thing, and I've trained myself to overcome this. Really, I mean, it's the kind of thing where I would feel like gagging and possibly throwing up just from the sight of it. So,
What a drama king.
yeah. So there's that, and then let's just draw a nice glass of iced tea too. Why not?
How are you going to do those ice cubes?
I'm going to.
As you know, for me, it's all about the ice. Ice, ice baby.
You see if you've never drawn on tone paper, I really recommend it because you have the tone. You have one color, then you draw with second color, and then it's just much more interesting than on white paper for certain kinds of things. And then you also get this effect of, I think, a very nice sort of journal-y kind of thing. Origins story. And then we have a Lipton tea bag. Let's just write some verbiage on it. And we have a nice cup of tea there.
Cuppa.
This will just be this is a cup of Lipton though. We used to do commercials for Lipton tea. What is this thing called? It's called a tea ball. Tea ball.
Or mace.
And then this is a
Strainer.
Tea strainer.
Do you think we have a little COVID brain?
We have a teapot.
I'm a little
And then we have a cozy.
teapot, short and stout.
And over here we have Cornish ware. Have you ever had a Cornish biscuit? Is that what they're called?
No idea.
Yeah, it's kind of cracker.
Pasty. Cornish pasty, we've had that.
Yeah, no,
Those
that's
are
not what I'm
good.
talking
I'm
about.
so hungry right now. Somebody's asking about your mechanical pencil again, which you...
All right, let me bring
Highly
this
prized.
pencil back here. It is the Graph Gear 1000 Pentel. It's a 7. It's a fine thing. So here we have it. A whole page of... So you see, the thing about this kind of an exercise, I hope you're appreciating when you see it all.
Got this camera now in front of your mug.
I know. So the thing about this is it's all about lots of little drawings, right? So these are lots of little drawings. Are any of them particularly great drawings? That's not really the point. The point is it's about having this whole page.
Collections.
A collection, exactly. And there's something about the energy that they give off where they are kind of interacting with each other, the negative space between them, all these things. And then, then I have a little space here where I could write a little sort of thing about heated beverages. Or I could write the big words heated beverages. Or I could fill in some more tea-related stuff.
But you can make a collection about just about anything.
Yeah. So you could take anything. You could take, brushing your teeth, and you could do a whole collection like this. You could do maintaining a car. You could do your travel to work, and you could talk about all the different things that, that you use that relate to that particular story. But it's telling a story in lots of little details, and together it's very pleasing. And then you could put a frame around this. You could do some embellishments. You could write more. I mean, I've done this fairly quickly, but I think it's really like a great way to also strain your brain a little bit and try to remember, like, what does a Chemex look like? Like, I'm sure if I look at a real Chemex, it's maybe not this. I didn't get the proportions quite right. That's fine. But this is again training your brain to recall details and to think about materials and to think about the component parts of stuff, so that you train yourself to go from just drawing what you see to seeing details and moving beyond.
You know what else is cappuccino color?
Yeah, the cappuccino colored dog here. Get this creature off me. I did want to share one treat with you before we go. When I was small, I lived in Pakistan. I've talked a bit about that in the past. And I particularly appeared from when I was about 8.5 until I was 10. I lived with my grandparents for an extended period. And we had a television. It was the first time I'd ever lived in a house that had a television. It was a small black and white TV. And as you can imagine, Pakistani television broadcasting was a limited thing. In those days, television was often just a few hours a day. I think we had a TV for like 3-4 hours of programming. But there was a couple of commercials, and tea commercials in particular, things that have always pleased me. There's a whole campaign that's gone on in England for a really long time. I think it's for Tetley tea, I want to say. Can't remember which it is, but it's a group of monkeys, chimpanzees, and they act things out. So they'll act like being, running a store or moving a piano and various other things. And the reward always is a nice cup of tea. So I have a lot of kind of nostalgic memories for these TV commercials about tea. But this particular thing I want to share with you is tea. Everybody's telling me different things, that it's PG Tips, that it's Tetley, that it's Twinings. Apparently it is PG Tips. Okay, at least PG Tips has gotten several different votes now. So there was a commercial that I remember seeing when I was 9 years old in Urdu. Urdu is a language that they speak in Pakistan. And I've memorized this commercial. I memorized it when I was 9. It's a little story of a woman who comes to a store and wants to buy some tea, and she has a conversation with the clerk there, and they talk briefly about tea. And it's actually all done as a musical. And it's just one of those things from when I was a child that I just remember. Chai chaiye, kaun si janab, Lipton unda hai, Lipton lijiye, Lipton tijiye. Those the lyrics of the song stuck in my mind. And the miracle of YouTube, recently I thought, you know what, maybe that commercial exists on YouTube. Maybe it does.
चाय चाहिए कौन सी जनाब लिप्टन उंडा है लिप्टन लीजिए लिप्टन दीजिए लिप्टन दीजिए चाय लीजिए लिप्टन ही तो है
लिप्टन लीजिए
लिप्टन लीजिए
लिप्टन पीजिए
जी हाँ, लिप्टन के मानी उम्दा चाय।
How awesome is that? Seriously. So that was Lipton tea. Yes, that's a vivid childhood memory for me. I doubt you remember it, but maybe you do. If you do, let me know. But basically, it's a story where she says, do you have some tea? He says, yes, we have some tea. She says, what kind of tea do you have? And he says, I have Lipton tea. She says, give me some Lipton tea. And then he says, I'm giving you some Lipton tea. And she says, what kind of tea is that? And he says, it's Lipton. She says, oh, Lipton, give it to me.
I mean, when we used to work in advertising, the client would often say,
Yes. What?
could you make the logo bigger?
Could you say the name Lipton 75 times in a commercial? This is a genius thing. And then when I was working in advertising, I got to work on Lipton briefly. And I always thought, this is like a childhood dream come full circle. Here I am, once again.
I'm going to stick to drinking Lipton.
Anyway,
well,
this
that
is
was
one of
fun.
those things that I did to delight myself and nobody else cares about, but that's fine. It's my show and I'll do what I please. And with that, I thank you for joining me and drawing tea and coffee. I hope it was your cup of tea or possibly your cup of coffee. And final thoughts.
Share them.
If you would like to get the Hahnemühle Cappuccino Book, which I hope you would, please write to us at info@sketchbookskool.com.
We have 3 of them. Carol Ross is here. Thank you.
Send us your mailing address. Send us your mailing address when you request this. We can't send you a cappuccino book through the email. You must include your mailing address.
U.S. only.
U.S. only. I also wanted to say we hope that you will share your cups of tea and coffee and various ephemera.
Your collections.
Please share them. I didn't put this up, and if you give me 1 second, I'll just quickly put it up here. But meanwhile, I'll talk about Danny'sEssays.com, which is my weekly essay.
They're free.
They're free.
They're free.
And I hope that you would like to get them. And if you would, please do. Here it is. SBS Draw With Me. If you would like to share your collection, please put it on social media. Don't email it to info. Don't it.
I mean, you can.
You can, but
It's not a big deal. But share it.
Share it with us somewhere.
Yeah.
On social media and put hashtag SBS Draw With Me. You can share it on the schoolyard. You can share it on Instagram. You can share it on Facebook. Just let us know. We would love to see what you've made, and we'll add it to the little cavalcade that opens the show next week. So please do that. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to be notified when we do this again, which we will every Thursday. And that's about it.
Yeah, we missed you last week.
We missed you. We're glad to be back. It's been a relief. And next week we will be back in Sketchbook School headquarters in Phoenix, Arizona, USA. Until then, keep drawing.
Have a great week.
Keep drawing. Draw with yourself. Draw with your friends. Draw with your family. Have fun drawing. And I'll see you then. Thanks a lot.